Once upon a time, there was an angel named Lucifer. He was the most powerful and virtuous of heaven's angelic host, second in authority, only to the king of that realm's son. He was the vessel through which the one who is called the God of Abraham cemented his authority and title as the creator of all things into place. Much like how someone in modern times uses an avatar to work through on the internet, Lucifer was such to God as his vessel. Through him all things came to be, life began, the Garden of Eden was created, the stars set into place, and for this, Lucifer's title in heaven was the son of the morning star and bearer of the first dawn in creation. These titles signified his duty, and so thus his authority, which was second only to the very Son of God, born from the divinity of his being. No one in heaven was closer, or knew the presence and will of the true God more so than him. He was also gifted with free will, the gift of knowing between good and evil, and the ability to choose which he would act upon like man. No other angel in heaven was, or ever would be made like this. He was also called the Incorruptible One, meaning that he was the only angelic creation capable of housing the divine power of God without it destroying his frail mortal form, thus making him immune to temptation to use God's power for his own selfish desires or ambitions. To achieve this, God created him even before he was born with supernatural power that prepared him for the destiny to which he was designed to accomplish. However, Lucifer's destiny was a two-sided coin, and though he was destined to accomplish his role and purpose in heaven, his complete destiny was much more and involved things beyond that of power and establishing authority. For he would one day walk a path that was beside the very Son of God's as well. His path, though, would bring him to understand the very complexities of evil, and one day the Son of God and he would work together to pave a path out of condemnation. This path would be called redemption, where the Son of God would understand the path of virtue and righteousness and design, a way that one could live life day to day that would please God, and allow them to dwell in paradise after death for their life that supported and nurtured his creation's growth. Lucifer would understand the path of transgression that caused men's fate to unavoidably bring their death and condemn their afterlife to the place of punishment for their lives, caused a decay to God's creation through ways of sin or choosing what was wrong as opposed to what was right in life. Lucifer would learn and teach others that there is a price to pay for their wrong choices, prices that cannot be avoided unless they abandon the habits they have chosen to live by and choose to take the advice of the path offered by the Son of God. Through those ways, a person could alter the path of fate their lives have been set on and possibly avoid condemnation and even death due to their sinful deeds. However, to achieve this, Lucifer had to suffer injustice and rejection from even the highest authorities in heaven for a time that would come after his role as God's vessel was finished. For truly, someone who falls into condemnation, it is not just a failure on their part alone, but a failure of the society around them that did not help them or refused to do what was right for them in helping avoid what occurred that led them to become that which was condemned for their ways and habits. That is true in every case to which a person is condemned, that they alone are not the only ones to be blamed. There is always something more that is responsible for someone who is condemned than just themselves. For example,
in the aftermath of World War II, the world faced a critical error. The focus shifted to defeating the monster, epitomized by the axis of evil, without understanding the deeper societal ailments that birthed such tyranny. The rise of figures like Hitler, Mussolini, and Stalin was not a spontaneous occurrence, it was a violent reaction to a corrupt old world dominated by monarchs, tycoons, and the decadence that followed them. This old world order, rife with injustice, set the stage for the brutal militarism that characterized the 20th century. As the Allies celebrated victory, they buried the monster but failed to confront the uncomfortable truth that they had, in part, created it. By labeling these figures as singular evils, society overlooked its own complicity, denying the reality that these leaders were mirrors reflecting the unacknowledged darkness within themselves. The evils that fueled Hitler's rise were not merely external, they were rooted in the very fabric of society, stemming from collective fears, desires, and moral failings. This refusal to learn from history led to a profound imbalance, leaving an unresolved debt that demanded attention. A society unwilling to govern itself through internal morality inevitably invites external forces to impose order. This vacuum of self-governance opens the door to totalitarian regimes, a fate that history has shown is all too possible. The United States, in its current form, stands as a testament to this failure, manifesting the world's hypocrisy and becoming the very system it once fought against. In this narrative, the people are called to reflect on their own agency. To wait passively for change while innocent lives suffer is not just a moral failure, it perpetuates the cycle of suffering and conflict. The revolution needed is not merely political, it is a profound moment of self-reflection, where the populace must confront the darkness within themselves that allowed such leaders to rise. The government's tendency to scapegoat individuals only reinforces this cycle, creating a mold of the monster it claims to fight while ignoring the societal conditions that breed such violence. Stricter gun laws emerge not from a proactive stance but as reactive measures to the horrific consequences of a deeper malaise. The true tragedy lies not in the inherent monstrosity of the world but in the disillusionment of its people. The hero, having fought valiantly for a better tomorrow, became exhausted and despairing, surrendering to the storm rather than seeking the sunlight beyond. In doing so, they transformed into the very storm they wished to escape, adopting the despair that overshadowed their ideals. America didn't embrace the enemy's ideals, it lost sight of its own. It won the war on the battlefield but lost the war for its soul, as it abandoned the principles that once defined its fight for justice and equality. The lesson remains clear: until society is willing to confront its own complicity and take responsibility for the monsters it creates, the cycle of tyranny will continue to repeat.
Okay. We rewind back to about 3 years before the flood occurred. I was placed in command over 6 other angels, who were given a secret task that we had to remain hidden and unseen in carrying out. We were to observe humanity during their early development, and learn of their emotional responses to obstacles. They faced God, wanted to know the finite details of how they decided to face and overcome obstacles they faced in life, and how they strategized their solutions to problems, and we had to remain unseen and hidden. They could not know that we were watching them. Once given this task, God left creation. For one of his 7th days of rest, we came to call them, which were random moments when God would decide to just disappear for a time for some unknown and unexplained reason. So we 7 angels performed our tasks while he was away. One day we met in a small village outside of a town called Megiddo. We gathered together and Azazel began talking about something called a legacy, and said it could be used to portray what we had learned from observing the humans in a way that might impress God. Seeing how innovative his angels had become, he suggested doing this by having children with the mortal women. Those children we could raise, teaching them what we had learned from our observations, and they could emulate that wisdom. Astaroth then said it was impossible. We were sinless in nature. Not only were we lacking the desire for such things, but we also lacked the equipment, as we had no private parts. That's when I spoke up and said, that is not entirely true, knowing of the Immaculate Conception and the coming of the Son one day. I told them that there may be a way to achieve that. I said that if we took our wings, which were made from the grace of God's divinity,
which gave us the ability to be wherever God needed us to be, despite walls or mountains. And if we passed our wings into the womb of a mortal woman, sparking the seed of life, similar to how Adam's seed does, then we could have children with them. Astaroth said that the idea could actually work, and Samael spoke up and said he thought it was a bad idea. It sounded too much like creating life, and that was God's thing, not theirs, and questioned whether it would offend him. Azazel said, "Not we fall in love with the mortal women first. God said he made mankind out of love. So if we loved the women who had our children, then it couldn't be evil." Samael said he didn't like the sounds of it, and he had a feeling that in the end, he would bear the weight of blame for this upon his shoulders. Uriel then said, "Maybe we should wait for God to return and ask him first." Then my memory fades from there on that subject. Sometime later, I am called back urgently to the throne of God in the city of angels, Zion. I tell Azazel to hold the outpost together until I returned. Azazel asked if he could escort me back, and I told him no. I had an uneasy feeling about this journey, but said nothing to him. When I returned, I entered the throne room, and he had an observational table that allowed him to see any point in existence at any time, from beginning to the end. He was hunched over the table and looked disheveled. He said he knew about the children we had with the mortal women and that they could not be allowed to continue. He showed me the destruction that would occur because of them and said they held the power to do as they wished as a human, but possessed the power of an angel. This threatened his entire creation from being destroyed at their whim anytime they choose. Then he showed me the time of the monarchs of early Britain, and that behind them, in their feuding, were the influence and control of our children's descendants. All their suffering and hardships were experienced at their whim, and it was the last of his patience with them. He decreed them abominations to his creation, and ordered me and the other fathers to hunt them down and kill them. Then he revealed that a great catastrophe was coming, and the people would not need his warning. They had replaced their honoring of him in their hearts with the sons of God, men of renown and heroes blessed with great might, because of their lineage to Seth, the third child of Adam and Eve, who was blessed by God, because of the hardships Eve went through after her loss due to Cain. These heroes had taken his place in their hearts, so much so that they would not even heed his warning of the coming danger, except for one man, Noah. So he was gonna start over and flood the earth, wiping them all away, and starting new with Noah's family. My heart sank at his words. This was my creator, giving into despair and genocide. I knew what I had to do. I threw down my sword and holy insignia and said, if this is what heaven has become, murderers of innocent children, then I could no longer have any part of it. I renounced my allegiance to heaven, and suddenly a hot shearing pain entered from behind and through my chest.
As I quickly became swallowed into the darkness of death, I could hear God cursing at someone faintly, that their place would no longer be found in heaven, and they would be cast out like the unclean thing they were. Then the silence of darkness led to a light that came fast as I fell to earth, the first one made before all others, Lucifer, bearer of the first dawn in creation, who stood beside God and was his vessel, who brought forth all things with the words, "Let there be light." He who is called the Word fell to earth to be in the flesh as man for a time, as the Son. Now, going over ancient scripture, it is said that around the same time, Uriel was called back to the throne also, and that afterwards he fell with the other rebel angels, who rose up in war against God after the flood, but was cast down into exile as the angel of death for his sins against the Most High. This is where the words of Tragic Kingdom become eerily close to depicting what unfolded as sickles drip from his eyes. Before the flood happened, the archangel were given the task of hunting the children, who were not giants at all,
but looked like any human except they had special abilities no natural human had. There are horror stories I've heard about what happened that I do not want to speak of here. When the humans began helping hide the children, they were killed too. Then the flood happened. I hear that huge cracks like sinkholes opened up in the ocean, draining the water levels down severely. Those water pockets hit the caldera chambers of volcanoes and they erupted at once together worldwide. And the ocean water came shooting back up from the cracks, causing a massive tsunami surge where they resurfaced. These were the events that caused what we call the separation of Pangaea to occur. During the mass exodus at the end of the Mesozoic era, known as the Great Dying.
In exploring the nature of divine beings, it's crucial to clarify a common misconception. The Son is not merely the Word, but the Word made flesh. This distinction is vital, for the Son is not the Father, and this truth has been proclaimed repeatedly. Therefore, any claims that equate the Son with Lucifer are misguided. They are fundamentally different beings. Lucifer, however, serves as a manifestation of my essence, a descendant of a lineage that is both mortal and angelic, contrary to popular belief. The flood did not eradicate the offspring of angels. Angels do not perish as humans do. While humanity, as depicted in a film, rests in the wormy earth, unable to ascend without angelic aid, angels experience a different fate. They transform, crossing the threads of dominions and manifesting anew instead of succumbing to slumber upon death. This transformation is what occurred during Noah's flood, allowing the angelic lineage to endure despite ongoing attempts by both man and angel to disrupt it. This revelation raises a poignant question. Wouldn't God be aware of this? This leads me to a conclusion hinted at in the song, Tragic Kingdom, reflecting on my own fall. It suggests that the entity responsible for my demise must also have struck at God. Our fates were intertwined. I was his vessel during creation, and in my fall, he too fell. Uriel emerged as the figure perpetuating the atrocities against the children of angels, responsible for the corruption and false narratives surrounding my rebellion. Now we must ask, what do we know about Uriel that might explain these transgressions? Angels are inherently sinless, incapable of conceiving such actions. If I, as a fallen being, could not, then Uriel could not either. My experience reveals a struggle for control over me, rooted in my identity as God's vessel. This struggle is central to the designs behind my fall. Further examination of Uriel's circumstances reveals a troubling truth. He is imprisoned beneath the Vatican. This is the very angel upon whom the Church was built, an institution that has dominated human belief systems for 2 millennia. The Church has executed numerous unnatural schemes, extending beyond a single human lifespan. This leads me to ponder. Did the Church stumble upon Uriel's prison? Or was it a calculated decision, or orchestrate his confinement in that very location, allowing them to later claim him and manipulate his power for their own ends? To be continued.